Welcome back, everybody. This is Bruce from the Epic Experiment. We're back with another deck tech, another week, another deck tech. This week we've got Belbe, Corrupted Observer. This is one from Commander Legends that people often overlook, but she's super cool. So let's have a look at her. Black and a green for a 2/2 legendary creature zombie elf. At the beginning of each player's post-combat main phase, that player adds colorless for each of your opponents who lost life this turn. So, yes, this is symmetrical. Everybody's going to get a chance to make a whole bunch of mana, so it really incentivizes people to start attacking. But the idea being that you're going to have bigger things than your opponents to be able to make sure that you capitalize on having all this extra mana floating around. So, let's talk about how this deck goes. This deck is fun if you like to do Timmy things and smash people with big stuff. All right, let's look at our ramp package. All right, so we've got a Sol Ring. All right, Sol Ring is great. Everybody needs it. We've got a Mox Amber. That's a game changer, so that's something that people need to be aware of. So Mox Amber. We've got Talisman of Resilience. Okay, super good. We've got a Rampant Growth. All right, so that's going to help us find an extra land. We have a Leyline Immersion, which is actually a really interesting one. 3 and a green for an enchantment aura. Enchant legendary creature. So you probably want to put this on Belbe, but it has a better target. Enchanted creature has Ward 2 and tap to add 5 mana in any combination of colors. Spend this mana only to cast spells. So if you can stick this on Belbe, now he's got a little bit of protection and it can be a big old mana rock. Let's do this one actually. We'll do Cryptghast. So Cryptghast has Extort on it, but it also makes sure that your swamps tap for an extra black into your mana pool. So it's going to help you use lots of black. And then we've got a Cryptolith Fragment. 3 for a, it'll come into play tapped. Tap to add 1 mana each of your colors in your mana pool. Each player loses 1 life. This theme here is exactly what Belbe wants. So Belbe wants some innocuous way to deal damage to each of your opponents to then be able, on your second main phase, to trigger to go and generate a whole pile of mana. So we have a couple of other enablers that we have in play that are going to let us take advantage of that. So Cryptolith Right is one. We have Ill-Gotten Inheritance. So 3 and a black for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, Ill-Gotten Inheritance deals 1 damage to each opponent and you gain 1 life. And then has another mode, 5 and a black, Sacrifice. It deals 4 damage to target opponent and you gain 4 life. So that passive trigger on your upkeep is exactly what you want. Noxious Field. So it is 1 black for an enchant land. Enchant land has tapped. This deals 1 damage to each creature and each player. Perfect. Exactly what the deck wants. We've got a Retreat to Hagra that has Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield, you can pick one. Target creature gets +1/+0 and gains Death Touch. Maybe, but probably not. Each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. There it is. And then we also have a Veto. So whenever you gain life, target opponent loses that much life. So if you can gain any amount of life, and there's a few ways to gain a little bit of incidental life. We have something like Witherbloom Apprentice that says whenever you cast and copy an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So all those sort of quiet ways of gaining a little bit of life is going to allow you to trigger Belbe and then create a whole lot of extra mana that you can utilize to power out huge things. What sort of huge things, you ask? Well, let's find out. There's a whole bunch of big old chonkers in this list. And that's why it's one of my favorite decks to play, because it's just full of big fatties. Doomgape. So it's got 4, and then Golgari. It's a 10/10 elemental with trample. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature. You gain life equal to that creature's toughness. Well, this plays really well with Veto. You're going to kill your opponents pretty quick with that sort of combination in play. Particularly when you have like a Myojin of Towering Might. So 5 green for an 8/8 legendary creature spirit. Myojin Towering Might enters the battlefield with an indestructible counter on it if you cast it from your hand. Remove an indestructible counter from Myojin of Towering Might to distribute 8 +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control. They gain trample until end of turn. So you have it. You can move the counters around, put things on people. It's huge. Ulamar's Crusher, the first of a number of Eldrazi. So 8 mana for an 8/8 with Eldrazi with Annihilator 2. and has to attack each turn. That Annihilator 2 trigger is painful. Artisan of Kozilek, 9 mana for a 10/9 Eldrazi. Whenever you cast Artisan of Kozilek, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It has Annihilator 2 as well. Deceiver of Forms, 6 and a colorless for an 8/8. And says, at the beginning of combat on your turn, reveal the top card of your library. If a creature card is revealed this way, you may have creatures you control become, other than Deceiver of Form, become copies of that card until end of turn. You may put that card on the bottom of your library. We have Junji, the Midnight Sky, 3 black for a 5/5. Flying Menace, legendary creature, Dragon Spirit. When Junji dies, choose 1. Each opponent discards 2 cards and loses 2 life. Put target non-dragon creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. You lose 2 life. We have a Void Winnower, 9 for a 11/9. Your opponents can't cast spells with even converted mana costs. Your opponents can't block creatures with even mana costs. This thing is a pain to deal with, locks people out of games. When half your deck has been rendered useless, you really question whether or not you can really keep going. We have Altanak, the Thrice Call, so 5 green for a 9/9, insect beast with trample, and then whenever Altanak, the Thrice Call, becomes the target of a spell or ability opponent controls, draw a card, 1 and a green, discard Altanak, the Thrice Called, return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. We have Multani, Yavimai's Avatar. 4 green for a 0/0 legendary creature elemental avatar with reach and trample. Multani Yavimai's Avatar gets +1/+1 for each land you control and for each land in your graveyard. 1 and a green. Return 2 lands you control to their owner's hand. Return Multani from your graveyard to your hand. This card is super handy in this deck because one of the things that's going to happen is you're going to have a lot of land, because you're going to see how you draw a bunch of cards in this list. This is going to be a very effective way for you to sack it and bring it back and then replay it for lots of value. Spinewood Armadillo, 4 green for a 7/7 with reach, ward 3, and then 1 and a green. Discard Spinewood Armadillo, search your library for a basic land card or a desert card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle, you gain 3 life. Alright, super handy. We have a Quake Strider Ceratops, so 3 green for a 12/8 dinosaur. We have a Woodfall Primus, so 5 green for a 6/6 creature, Treefolk Shaman with trample. When Woodfall Primus enters the battlefield, destroy target non-creature permanent and has persist. So when it dies, it'll come back with a -1/-1 counter. Meteor Golem, 7 mana for a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target non-land permanent an opponent controls. Conduit of Ruin, as an Eldrazi, 6 mana for a 5/5. Whenever you cast Conduit of Ruin, you may search your library for a colorless creature card with converted mana cost 7 or greater, reveal it, then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. The first creature spell you cast each turn costs 2 less to cast. You're going to get potentially huge amounts of value with that. Doom Whisper, one of my all-time faves. So 3 black for a 6/6 flying trample, pay 2 life, surveil 2. We have Jugan, the Rising Star, 3 green for a 5/5. Legendary creature flying. When Jugan, the Rising Star, dies, you may distribute 5+1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures. We have a Zopandrel, Hunger Dominus. So this is 5 green for a 4/6 legendary creature, Phyrexian Horror with reach. At the beginning of each combat, double the power and toughness of each creature you control till end of turn. And then Phyrexian Green. Sacrifice 2 other creatures. Put an indestructible counter on Zopandrel, Hunger Dominus. You may notice that the creatures in this deck are already massive, and Zopandrel is going to make sure they are massive to be able to help you slam the win. We've got a Kozilek, the Great Distortion. We have a Beledros, Witherbloom. So this one's going to be 5 green for a 4/4 legendary creature, Elder Dragon. Flying at the beginning of each upkeep, create a 1/1 black and green pest creature token. When this creature dies, you gain 1 life. Surprisingly useful with Veto, but you really want this one. Pay 10 life, untap all lands you control, activate only once each turn. And then we have Big Daddy Garruk, Apex Predator. 5 green for a 5 loyalty Planeswalker Garruk. +1, destroy another target Planeswalker. +1, make a 3/3 black beast creature token with Death Touch. -3, destroy target creature. You gain life equal to its toughness. And -8, target opponent gets an emblem with whenever a creature attacks you, it gets +5/+5 and gives trample until end of turn. That's just a big old scary thing. All right. So with all those scary things, you're probably going to win by stomping your opponent into the mud. However, there are a few other toys in this list that are going to make you have some extra fun. All right, let's see what else we've hidden in this deck. We've got a Occam Adversary. So this one's 3 and a green for a 2/3 Elf Warrior and with Death Touch. But this spell costs 2 less to cast if an opponent controls a green permanent. Let's be real, most times you're going to be able to get that. That's not going to be hard, so it's usually 1 and a green for a 2/3. Whenever Occam Adversary deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. We have, what else do we have? We have a Lively Dirge. So we have 1 and a black for a sorcery with Spree. And so if you pay the extra 1, you can search your library for a card and put it in your graveyard, then shuffle. And then 2, return up to 2 creature cards from your total amount of 4 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. All right, super handy, bring something useful back. We have a Tireless Provisioner. So 2 and a green, landfall. When you play a land, you can either get food or a treasure token. And it's a 3/2. We have some other super useful things. We have an Unnatural Growth. So 1 green, 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 green enchantment. At the beginning of each combat, double the power and toughness of each creature you control until end of turn. That's the same text as on Zopandrel, so you're going to have really big things, and those two stack it going. We have Up the Beanstalk. Since so many of your creatures are big, Up the Beanstalk is super handy. We have the Cauldron of Eternity. So 10 black. Legendary artifact. This spell costs 2 less to cast for each creature card in your graveyard. Whenever a creature you control dies, put it on the bottom of its owner's library. And then 2 and a black, tap, pay 2 life, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. Okay, so the reason this is in here is to go along with something like Lively Dirge. Okay, so the first mode is going to let me put the creature into my graveyard, and this is going to allow me to replay it. So if I have a creature card that I really want in my deck that I can't get access to, I'm going to be able to go and get it with that. We have a Monster Manual. Monster Manual is super fun. So 3 and a green has got Adventure, Zoological Study for the sorcery half of it, 2 and a green, mill 5 cards, then return a creature card milled this way to your hand. And then 1 and a green, tap, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. So that's Elvish Piper text, and that's fun. So that thing is definitely worth noticing when you got all those big things. Let's imagine Belbe's not on the table. Monster Manual will let you get there. We've got a Monstrous Vortex. So this is 3 and a green enchantment. Whenever you cast a creature spell with power 5 or greater, discover X, where X is that spell's mana value. So many of those creatures are enormous that you're going to be able to find something useful and get going. We have a Sword of Hearth and Home. It is a 3 mana artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has protection from green and white. Whenever an equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, exile up to 1 target creature you own, then search your library for a basic land card. Put both cards onto the battlefield under your control, then shuffle. So you're going to blink a creature, find a land, all good. We're going to have Shamanic Revelation. So 3 green, draw a card for each creature you control. Ferocious, you gain 4 life for each creature you control with power 4 or greater. Again, with Veto, that is handy. It's also just going to draw you a huge number of cards. All right, then we get into some kind of interesting pieces. So you're saying you're noticing there's a lot of sort of things that go to my graveyard, and I'm going to make sure they go there because I'm going to cast Greater Good. Greater Good is probably one of the best cards in this deck. So 2 green for an enchantment. Sacrifice a creature, draw cards equal to target sacrifice creature's power, then discard 3 cards. Okay, this plus Zopandrel or the Unnatural Growth is going to make sure your creatures are enormous. So you sack 1 creature, you're probably going to draw 8, 10, 12 cards. Fill your hand up. Allow you to go back to work and play lands, cast spells, do things. All right? It's then going to put them into your graveyard so your Cauldron can be useful to get access to them again, or you want to do something else. Let's see what else we can do. Well, we can have a Dance of the Dead. Dance of the Dead is pretty handy, so you get to pull things back in your graveyard. When things die, you can maybe do a Dictate of Erebos. So now your opponents are going to have their things die, but yours things die, and you want them to die. Maybe we do a Death Reap Ritual. So 2 black-green with enchantment with Morbid. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature died this turn, you draw a card. So you're going to kill your creatures, you're going to be able to keep drawing. We have a Life and Death. So Life and Death is an split card, and so the sorcery side is life until end of turn. Lands you control become 1 creatures with and they're still lands. Or death, 1 and a black with sorcery. Return target creature card from your graveyard to play. You lose life equals its converted mana cost. So you're going to go and reanimate something terrifying and put it back into play. Expensive, scary, but super useful to get something huge back that they thought was gone. Or Praetor's Council. 5 green, green, green. Return all cards from your graveyard to your hand. Exile Praetor's Council. You have no maximum hand size for the rest of the game. All right, super cool. All right, let's talk about some other toys in this deck to help make sure things are going. All right, we have Return of the Wild Speaker. This is just going to be used for the mode to draw cards, so more card draw. You're going to be able to keep your hand good and full. We have some tutor effects. We have Sidisi and we have Diabolic Intent. So these are Diabolic Intent's handy because it kills your creature, which you kind of want to be able to get it back. And Sidisi, same thing. You can exploit an existing creature to go find something that you want. Very, very useful cards. We have a Selvala, Heart of the Wilds. So 1 green, green, 2/3 legendary creature, Elf Scout. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, its controller may draw a card if its power is greater than each other creature's power. And then green, tap, add X mana in any combination of colors where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Well, when you have a deck full of fatties, this is going to be a really potent way to make a whole gigantic pile of mana. All right, we have a Prowler's Helm to make sure that when your thing gets through unchallenged, to make sure that Belbe triggers. We have a Mask of Avacyn to protect our thing, give it hexproof. So probably Belbe to make sure that it doesn't get whacked by a removal spell. And we have Crashing Drawbridge to make sure your thing has haste. All right, last but not least, we've got a little bit of some interaction to make sure we don't die to our opponent's stuff. We have a Mortality Spear. 2 black, green. This spell costs 2 less to cast. If you gain life this turn, destroy target non-land permanent. Just open, catch all, kill the thing. Terra Sunder. 1 and a green. It's got instant. It's got kicker for additional 1 and a black. Exile target artifact or enchantment. If this spell was kicked, exile target non-land permanent instead. So you can use it just to kill an enchantment or an artifact, but if you kick it, you're going to kill whatever you need to kill. We've got a Casualties of War. 2 black, black, green, green. Sorcery. Choose 1 or more. Destroy target artifact, destroy target creature, destroy target enchantment, destroy target land, destroy target planeswalker. Lots of options on that one. One of my favorite cards of all time. We have a Rex Sage and we have a Manglehorn. So creatures that you can sacrifice and then bring back with other effects to make sure that you get to kill their artifacts and enchantments and make things miserable for them. We have a Doomblade. I'm telling you now, this is going to be upgraded to an Assassin's Trophy here real soon, but this is a piece of interaction to kill target non-black creature. We have a Slaughter Pact. So this is the same cycle as Pact of Negation, but this is the black one. So 0 to cast it, destroy target non-black creature. At the beginning of your next upkeep, you may pay black and 2. If you don't, you lose the game. So that's that trigger on it that you have to upkeep, you have to pay this. So don't fire this willy-nilly, but the cost is pretty reasonable for a kill spell. And then Song of the Dryads. 2 and a green, enchant permanent. Enchanted permanent is a colorless forest land. All right. Then, in the land base, mostly basics, but there's a couple of interesting lands that people need to be aware of. So one of them is a Cabal Coffers. That is going to make all your swamps really good. Then we have a Yavimaya Cradle of Growth. Otherwise, very basic mana base. It doesn't have to be real fancy. These are really the two big hitters and really fancy cards in the mana base. Card deck is super fun. If you love to play big creatures, this is the deck for you. It is super hilarious to play it and to cast big, dumb things and smash your people around. It doesn't take too much setup to get Belbe going. Once your opponents have realized that this is the game plan, they may decide that Belbe needs to go, but hopefully they're cashing in on it too, and you can convince somebody to help you protect your Belbe rather than letting it get whacked. All right, so there we have it, Belbe Corrupted Observer. The list is going to be down below in the notes, so check it out down below. And as always, like, subscribe, give us a follow. We'd love to have some more people join us here on the channel. we're doing great. We're on Instagram, and we're finding that lots of people are interacting with us there. We'd love to build our base here on YouTube. So if you're out there and you're enjoying what you're seeing, give us a like, give us a follow, leave us a comment. Anything to engage with the algorithm is great. All right. So, or if you want to follow us on and listen to our weekly podcast, the link is down below in the show notes. You can find our weekly podcast and hear us talk all about Commander. Thanks very much, everybody. Take care. Have a good one. We'll catch you soon.